Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, the only show that provides you with the best insight and information to everything Franklin County sports. And now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you here today. Yes, it's another week here and the spring season is winding down. And we're going to share some great moments that were done by some wonderful kids here this week and some really fun games that we had a chance to be a part of as well, including our game of the week that we ended up having between Greenfield and Frontier. Boy, that was a great boys baseball game that we had a chance to be a part of. We'll talk about that game first as we welcome you here to our show for another week. Want to say a thank you to the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield. Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by Sean Hubert and Hubie's, the Tavern and Restaurant on Avenue A in Turners Falls. Thank you so much to my producers, Philippe Simone and also John Meisner. We also want to say a big thank you to Chris Collins down at the FCAT and also to Dean and Deidre over at Montague Community Television. We appreciate you guys all jumping on board to have fun with us here on our show. Why don't we get things started for you? The game of the week last week that we had here on GCTV was the game between Greenfield and Frontier, and it came into a walk-off. That's right. And who would have thought that it would be a walk that ends up winning the game for Greenfield? And a game that they really needed in a time where they were really in a funk. The Green Wave came up with that huge win at home against Frontier. And it really was a big game, and it was a really drizzly, not a very fun night over at Greenfield High School. But I'll tell you one thing, a lot of folks that didn't get a chance to make that game, you can enjoy it, the game of the week on GCTV. So this way you can still be a part of the action. Well, I'll tell you right now, it came up to that big walk that happened in the bottom of the seventh inning. And it was eighth inning, honestly, because they went into extras. So it was an eighth inning walk that ended up giving Greenfield the 4-3 victory. You know, you look at the way that Owen Phelps pitched that day. He pitched so well. They had a guy that came in, Gabe Gachinsky for Frontier, and he came in relief of Xavier Santiago and did a wonderful job to be able to get things done. And he really kept his team in it. But it was that 4 walks that ended up being the thing that killed them. And it ended up costing Frontier that victory. And by the way, they lost one game this year because of an ineligible player. So their first official loss of the 2019 season on the field, not because of the forfeit, was against Greenfield in our game of the week. And I will say that Phelps had himself a wonderful outing, ended up pitching 7 innings. Of course, he got no decision because they went into extras, but he ended up with 5 strikeouts and 3 walks on the day, and Gachinsky pitched well in relief too. He also had a no decision with his 4 innings that he had in relief. He did strike out 1 and he walked 2. Turned out to be a nice win for the Green Wave. Lots of hits between both of these teams as well. You had Connor Wakis, Kieran Freeman, Jacob Bryant, also Matt Hildreth, and Kyle Barnes that had hits for Frontier. For Greenfield, it was Owen Phelps, Hunter Campbell with a couple of hits, also Cam Baird with 2 hits, and also Jared Hart and Jake Sack had hits for Greenfield. So with that win, it was a start of a very special week for Greenfield High School baseball. We'll continue to talk about that on our show. Well, in baseball, it turned out to be a fun night on Tuesday night as Pioneer took on Mohawk. Final score in a boys baseball battle, 14-13. Wow, 27 runs were scored. And by the way, what do you think the worst enemy was for both of these teams in a 14-13 game? Yep, you're right. All right. You are so intelligent. It was errors. And it was walks, and that's exactly what got them in trouble. And unfortunately for Mohawk, it was that one walk that was too many and gave Pioneer the 14-13 victory. Should we say that the game was a good game? Probably not. It probably was one of the worst games for each one of these teams, but the bottom line is someone had to win, and it was Pioneer with the 14-13 victory. You know, The Franklin County Tech boys, we talked about how they got off to a really slow start. Well, they have really started to pick things up. And the good news is that they are on their way to making postseason play. And I think that is fantastic. Great job to really starting to regroup as a team. And they ended up picking up a 12-7 victory back on Tuesday night last week. And Nate Scandra came in, did a nice job in relief, and they are just a smidge away from making it to the tournament. I'm going to say right now, I'll call it, Franklin County Tech boys, they will be in tournament play. With that said, that means that we will eventually be able to say that we have the Turner's boys, Frontier boys, Greenfield boys, and the Franklin County Tech boys that will be in playoffs. Pioneer and Mohawk will not make boys tournament play this season. So congratulations goes out to the guys from the Tech School on just a wonderful job being able to really starting to regroup here in the second half of the season. And that turned out to be a big victory for them over Putnam, as they are just about there, ready to be able to continue their run in the playoffs. And I'll tell you, I know Nate Scandra very well. He played in the Greenfield Minor League at the time when I've been managing for 25 years. So I had his brother, and he had a chance to be able to play in our league as well. And he has really grown into a very big and very strong kid. And he's really come up big for Dan Presall and this Franklin County Tech boys baseball team. You know what else has been a big part, too, is that they're starting to hit the ball. You know, when you think about it, you're able to score 12 runs in a game. You're able to do well being able to hit the ball, and this team has been able to do that. Sam Trudeau ended up with a nice single, double, 3 runs batted in. Sim Manietti, Max Charest each had a double, drove in a pair of runs. Max Lay ended up with 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Nate Pelletier ended up with a hit and an RBI. So really great job done by this Franklin County Tech team. In some boys tennis action, Turners Falls boys, they started off so hot, and the last week they really started to take a little bit of a falter, and they got beat by Central 5-0 back on Tuesday. Chicopee Comp ended up beating Greenfield boys, another team that's done very well. They ended up losing 4-1. In girls tennis, it was Palmer beating Mohawk 4-1 on the girls' side. Well, Taylor Murphy ended up with a 2-hit and a 2-run bomb in the first inning. Jade Tyler struck out 13 in the circle. Big win for Turners Falls over a very good East Hampton team, and that turned out to be a fun one on Tuesday night last week. Jade Tyler allowed just 3 hits in the shutout, 2 of those coming in the final frame. She walked a pair, and I will say that her coach is very pleased with how she is playing right now. Matter of fact, he said she's working hard, working with a sore back. You know, I'm never satisfied, says Coach Mullins. And you know what? He says that because he knows that he can get the best out of his best players. And he's proven that because their record is perfect right now on the season. You know, she goes in, she does what she does well, she's hitting the ball, she's the leader that the kids all respect, she's the person that everyone can count on, and I'll tell you right now, she has really been a huge part of this Turners Falls Thunder program. You know, you think about it, you have many leaders on that team. You truly do. You got Allie Murphy, you got Jade Tyler, you got Olivia Whittier. You know, you look at some of the other great players. Cassidy Wozniak is a great leader for that team. It just goes on and on how good this Turners Falls girls program is. Well, it was a great regular season for the Marhar team. Congratulations goes out to the Marhar girls. Frontier boys also in track and field. They both ended up winning titles for the season. By the way, that is over. The track and field season is now over for the boys and girls of regular season. Of course, they did have their big weekend of their Western Mass championships, which we will talk about here on the show today. But congratulations goes out to the girls from Marhar with their win over Greenfield, 117-27. I mean, wow, that is really something special. Greenfield sophomore, who's had a great year, Victoria Marin, she ended up the lone Greenfield winner. She ended up taking first in both the 100 hurdles and the long jump. Also, Casey Kinsmith ended up doing well in the javelin. Emmeline Thurston ends up doing well in the 800. Candice Liu did well in the 2-mile. They were all runner-up finishers. And by the way, Marin even got a second-place finish in the high jump. She has had a great season, still 2 more years with this Greenfield program. They're very young. They're very talented. Mohawk, those girls end up beating Pioneer. Girls final was 96-48 back on Tuesday. Lily Wickland Shearer, she ends up winning 3 events on Tuesday, and Mohawk wrapped up the second place in the Inter-County League with that victory over Pioneer. Shearer ended up winning the long jump. She also swept the hurdles. She won the 100 highs and the 400 lows. What a great day for Lily. Tess Rancourt, she ended up winning the discus. She also won the shot put, and she was another double winner for the Warriors on that day on Tuesday. Serena Bardwell won the 100. Sierra Upton won the 400. Megan Davis won the 800. Grace Peplowski won the 1 mile. Also, Erin LaFond, she ended up picking up a victory in the pole vault. And for Pioneer, they had 4 winners on the day. Caroline Ring, she won the 200. Also, Hillman ended up winning the triple jump. Alina Sesijanin ends up winning the high jump, and Paige Loftman won the javelin. Frontier, easy win over Palmer. They won in girls track and field 124-21. Wow, what a great job done by the ladies at Frontier. Ackerman and Jenna Martin each won 2 events. Frontier captured all but 1 event on the day. That's how good they did in this one. Ackerman won the 400. She also captured the triple jump. Martin won the 400 low hurdles. She also took the high jump too. Lilia Evans won the 100. Sierra Warren won the 200. Allison Barnes took the 800. Abigail Howard won the mile. Angelina England ended up winning the 2 mile. Abby Roberts won the 100 high hurdles. Sierra Young also. Another winner was Warren and Evans, part of that 4x100 relay team. They won. Grace O'Leary ends up winning. And the 400x400 relay team, they did the same thing. That same group of girls that won the 100 end up winning the 400 too. Ivy Shattuck won the discus. Riley Eisler won the javelin. And Amelia Sobieski won the shot put, as well as Alana Poland. She ended up winning the pole vault. So a great day by Frontier in that win over Pioneer. Well, it was Athol beating up on the Turner's girls, and they did well in action that they had, and the Athol girls ended up picking that victory up, and they ended up having a very good season as well. Can tell you that Turner's hasn't won and didn't win a meet this year, unfortunately, but they did have 2 athletes that were multiple winners in Dabney Rollins. She ended up a double winner in both the discus and the javelin. And also Lily Neves, she ends up winning the hurdles by taking the 100 and the 400 in addition to the pole vault. So nice job by those 2 ladies. In boys track and field, it was Frontier. They end up beating Athol 116-28. And the boys train kept on rolling in their season finale. They claimed the Inter-County League title. Congratulations goes out to the boys on an undefeated season. Congratulations goes out to them on that undefeated season. And according to their coach, Walt Flynn, he said, there's no question that we grew a lot over the last couple of months as a team. It surely showed here in our final match with a 116-28 victory over Athol. Jackie Fong ends up winning both the shot put and the discus. Very strong kid right there. Also, Fisher Talbot Hills, he ends up the high jump winner. And he also took the 110 hurdles. Koski ends up winning a couple of field events as well with the long jump. Emmett ends up winning the pole vault, as well as Ryan Hewitt. He wins the javelin. So a nice job done by the boys over at Frontier. Well, the Greenfield boys, they had a nice season too. They beat the Franklin County Tech 102-36. Teddy Pop and Jackson Brown end up pacing Greenfield with 2 individual wins. Teddy Pop ends up crossing the line in the 110 hurdles on top. He also cleared 11 feet in the pole vault. Brown, well, he did a nice job on the long jump and the triple jump for Greenfield as they ended up 5-2 on the season. Teddy Pop really had himself a great season, and I'll tell you that between those 2 guys, they were just part of the team of other guys who were able to get it done too. Also want to say congratulations going out to Zach Conway, who won the 200 for the Tech School. Also teammate Ryan Duclos ended up topping the field in the shot put. And that was a big battle between him and Jake Cody. It came down to just 2 inches for him to pick up the win over Cody. Mohawk, they end up beating Pioneer 102-38. Congratulations goes out to Mohawk. They ended up having a pretty good season as well. I can tell you that Cullen Brown captured 3 events for Mohawk in the 102-38 victory. Brown won the triple jump. He also won the high jump in the 400 hurdles. Mason Bianchi, he ends up winning the 200. Also, London Summers won the javelin. Guy Rice-LaSure ends up winning the 110 high hurdles. Dennis Simmons wins the 2-mile. Bennett Pasias wins the 400. And Quentin Romer won the 800. Scott McDonough continues his unbelievable job that he's had this season as an all-Western Mass athlete for Pioneer. He won the long jump. Also, Gavin Curtis won the pole vault, and Jake Comiskey ends up winning the shot put. Wyatt Keith won the 100. So there you go. As the season is winding down, and it is done for track and field. Want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you here today. Want to say a big thank you to all of our wonderful underwriters here today, the 4 Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield. Can't forget about Sean Hubert and Hubie's, their tavern and restaurant, Avenue Way in Turners Falls. Lisa Alber, located at 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, of Alber Hearing Services. Well, it took a couple of comebacks, and really it was a big win for the Mahar baseball team. They end up coming back on Wednesday and beating Pioneer. Final score was 6-5. But I'm going to tell you a little bit of story here about this Pioneer boys team. The thing is you look at this Pioneer boys team and you say to yourself, well, they've had like an up and down year. Well, you know why? They are young. That's the word for this team, young. When you're young, you have to learn some growing pains, and they're going to go through some of these, and that growing pain of losing a game where you had it in hand and then lose it usually can be able to make your team a little better. Pioneer got a quality start from Jason Quinn, struck out 7 hitters, gave up 2 earned runs in 5 innings, but 8 players left on base for the Panthers. That was a killer in this one when they only lost by 1 run. Jacob Quinn ended up with 3 hits on the day. Solid performance for him. Also, Troy Iman ended up having a good day as well as Cam Dresser. Want you to know that Ryan Potter, he also had a couple of hits as well. You know, this team may be young, but they're going nowhere. They're going to be a good team in the future. I know those kids very well. Well, it was a really nice victory for Chloe Cutting, for her and her Frontier girls softball team. They ended up with a win on Wednesday. They knocked off Mohawk 3-1 in a very low-scoring game. Cutting made her first varsity start and since May 2nd, and she ended up having a solid performance. She tossed 3 innings in Frontier's win over Palmer, and she also had a chance to be able to do well in this one. So congratulations goes out to her. Mohawk girls, right on the cusp of trying to be able to make tournament. Frontier girls, right now, they are in. You know, you look at how this game ended up turning out. It turned out to be a very good win for Frontier as they become really the third team in this area of the best programs for softball. You got your Turners Falls Thunder at number 1, the Greenfield Green Wave at number 2, and then Mohawk at number 3. Greenfield picks up a victory over Pioneer in girls softball, 3-0 back on Wednesday. Olivia Joy, she outdueled Steph Scoville, and it was a good game. As I got to tell you, this Pioneer team, they were looking for the upset, and why wouldn't you? Olivia Joy, she struck out 16 and allowed just 2 walks and 3 hits in a complete game effort. Boy, if it wasn't for some of that offense of Greenfield, which they have been lacking right now, they have got to get some more hits and things to start getting a little better at doing that right now if they want to do well in tournament play. That's been their problem this past week, is scoring runs. They scored the 3-0 shutout, but it was because Joy struck out 16 Pioneer Panther ladies, and that was a great out. Let me get the word out right. It was a great outing for Olivia Joy. You know, you really look back at that game and you say, what was the big thing that stood out? Well, it was an RBI triple by Reagan Hickey that really sparked things up and helped Greenfield with that win. Turners Falls girls, they played Mahar back on Wednesday. It was a very rotten night of softball, let me tell you. It was a soaking wet night, and it was all thunder in this one. Final score was 13-0 in 5 innings. And yes, the 9-time state champions are hitting, pitching, and fielding everything perfect right now. And that's why they have a perfect record. Gary Mullen says, you know, it wasn't a great condition out there, but it didn't matter for these girls because they came ready to play. And that's what they have to do. They have to be ready to play. Jade Tyler struck out 9, allowed just 1 hit in the circle. She also hit a beautiful home run. Cassidy Wozniak and Allison Murphy, they both hit home runs. By the way, this Turners Falls Thunder team, they've already hit 20 home runs as a team this season. Let me say that again. 20 home runs already this season. Now that is keys to success. Allie Murphy finished with 2 hits, 4 RBIs. Olivia Whittier, Katie Reynolds, Mercedes Morales, they ended up with a couple of hits apiece. Turned out to be an all-team victory, 13-0 over Mahar on Wednesday. You know, the Greenfield baseball team, you come off that big upset victory over Frontier back on Monday. Then you come back and you got a game against South Hadley, and they win 9-3. Great job by the boys. They are on a roll right now. And by the way, the Greenfield boys, ching, they punched their postseason play ticket. So they are going to postseason play. So far in boys baseball, we have the Tech boys that'll be in, the Frontier boys are in, the Greenfield boys are in, and the Turners Falls boys are in from the Sullivan rule. Even though they have an under 500 record on the year because of the Sullivan rule, which means that you have to play your division teams that you play, which is 6 games of this season, you just have to win 3 of those, and you automatically go to tournament play because all the other teams that you're playing against are all divisions up ahead of you, which means that they're a Division 4 team. A lot of the teams in the Hampshire League are Division 3 teams. So Turners has punched their ticket as well. Nice job. I'm going to tell you, David Carey ended up having a nice day. 3 hits, 2 RBIs. Also, Cam Baird, Jared Hart, they had 2 hits, 2 RBIs. You know, Jake Sack ended up with 3 hits. Owen Phelps had a hit, RBI. Man, this team's doing really well right now. Congratulations to the Green Wave on that victory over South Hadley. Belchertown knocked off Frontier. Oh, wow. Frontier, 2 games in a row. They got beat by a run, and they got beat on a run also in extra innings. They lost in the bottom of the 9th. It was a 2-out RBI single that ended up giving Belchertown the walk-off win. So they ended up getting walked off Frontier against Greenfield 4-3, and they lost to Belchertown 8-7. So they now have 3 losses on the season, and Frontier looking to regroup. We'll see how they do with games they had later here in the show. In girls tennis, it was Frontier girls beating Palmer 3-2. You know, a host of the Red Hawks won 2 of the 3 singles. That was a big help for them. Tori Speth continues to roll at the #1 singles. She ends up winning 6-1, 6-love. Also at second singles, Mary Lawrence. She ends up taking care of business 6-2, 6-1. And a nice victory for those Lady Red Hawks. Turners Falls girls, they beat Mohawk 3-2. Turned out to be a big, fun night for those ladies, and the Thunder picks up that win in Turners. CC Wood ends up winning. And also Maria LaBelle, they picked up 6-1, 6-3 victories over Maddie Lilly and Haley Randall at first doubles. Also Mercedes Bailey and Emily Dennison picked up victories over Lizzie Lynch and also Holly Hawks. So really it was those doubles teams that really helped out, giving Turners Falls that victory. Well, the kids from Greenfield, and that's what we call them too, the kids from Greenfield, a very young tennis team. And yes, the guys that came through were the youngsters in a big upset victory over Turners Falls. Final score was 3-2. 7th graders, 2 of them, end up being the talk of the town with their big win over Turners. That's right, 7th grader, Daniel Panichetti, great kid too. I coached that kid in Little League, and now he's out. Instead of playing baseball, he's got right into the tennis scene, and that 7th grader did very well to help his team pick up that victory. You know what the coach calls them? Calls those kids over there in Greenfield the Davis Street kids. All right, the Davis Street kids, which in my eyes must mean this, that they're spending a lot of time practicing over at the courts on Davis Street to help get better. You know, Greenfield, as of this match, was 7-3 overall, 6-1 in league play. Nice job this year by this team. You know, you look at the head coach, Andrew Varnon. He's quite the funny guy, by the way, too. Goes to matches dressed up in, like, kilts and stuff, and he's just a wild and crazy dude, man. And you're saying to yourself, that's what the coach does for the tennis team? Yeah, why not, baby? He's sitting out there on the other side of the fence while all the kids are out there having some fun and doing what they do. You can be out there cheering them all on, whether you're in a kilt or maybe you're just in your wonderful shorts and a T-shirt. It just don't matter as long as you and the kids are having fun. And that's exactly what Greenfield is doing right now, and congratulations goes out to them. In girls tennis, it was Frontier girls beating Sabas 3-2. Nice job done by them. In girls softball, Greenfield girls ended up picking a victory up over Ludlow 10-3 back on Thursday. And Gianna Conti pitched 4 shutout innings to pick up her first win of the season. She ended up starting in this one to give Olivia Joy a break, which worked out very well for everybody. And a nice job done by Gianna. She did really well. She was changing up her speeds, and she was able to get ahead of batters, and it worked out well, as she is going to be the next person in line to be the starting pitcher for this Green Wave team next year, with Olivia being a senior. Hannah Marhefka, she ended up with 3 hits and an RBI. Nikki Miner had a couple of hits and an RBI. Olivia Joy, she ended up having a hit and 2 RBIs. Rachel Dodge with a single and a double. Raquel Provost with 2 hits. Caitlin Lavoine with 2 hits. Kelsey Richardson and Reagan Hickey each had a hit. Now that is what Greenfield needs to start doing more of, is having everybody start hitting better. We'll see how they do against some of these other teams as we continue with our show. Turners Falls girls, they had an easy win over Frontier girls. Another 12-0 victory. Wow. 5 innings. Seems like what they play in most games. and they ended up picking up a victory against a very good team as Cassidy Wozniak and Jade Tyler and her each hit home runs. I was telling you a little bit earlier in the program here that they have 20 home runs as a team on the season. That is very, very impressive. Wozniak hit that 2-run bomb in the 4th. Tyler ended up hitting a solo shot in the same inning. Wozniak finished with 3 hits. Allie Murphy ends up with 3 hits. Olivia Whittier with 3 hits. Lexi Lacey, Taylor Murphy each had a pair of hits. Wow, getting it done. And what about Tyler? 8 strikeouts, 2 hits, and 3 walks in the shutout. Natalie Denkowitz and Lily Spencer each had hits. And Olivia Dean ended up taking the loss. Still not bad, though. She ended up striking out a batter and only 3 walks. It was just that Turner's has continued the hit parade. Smith Academy, they end up beating the Franklin County Tech. That was in girls softball and an easy win for Smith Academy. Well, it ended up being a nice victory for Turner's Falls as they knocked off Mohawk in a game that they ended up playing back on Friday. Turner's Falls won this one 23-4. Whew. And what a day for Cassidy Wozniak. She ended up hitting for the cycle. What is a cycle? A cycle is when you get a home run, a triple, a double, and a single in the same game. How about this? She also had 8 RBIs on the day. She hit for the cycle, 8 RBIs in the victory. This team is unbelievable, man. And a great day done by her. You know, Jade Tyler finished with 3 hits, including a double and a home run herself. And Taylor Murphy ends up with 2 hits. Haley Bogus with 2 hits and 3 RBIs. Juliana Rode with a couple of hits. Lexi Lacey a couple of hits. Wow, they are getting it done. Isis Moon ended up with 2 hits and an RBI for the Warriors. And Ashley Reynolds ended up with a triple and an RBI for Mohawk. Well, the Frontier girls picked up another victory over Pioneer girls. It was 8-6. This Pioneer girls team is only coming up short. They lost 3-0 to Greenfield. They ended up losing 8-6 to this Frontier team. Well, it was Lily Spencer and Charlotte Doulette smacked back-to-back home runs in the bottom of the 6th inning because at that time it was 6-5. And yes, Frontier picks up the win in a game that they wanted in South Deerfield. Pioneer, they ended up having a tough one, losing a couple of tough games last week. Can say that Steph Scoville recorded 8 strikeouts in the complete game outing. She also added a single and an RBI at the plate. East Hampton girls, good team. They beat the Greenfield girls on Friday last week 2-0. So the Greenfield girls end up losing to the Frontier, to the girls from Turner's Falls this year. They've also lost that game to East Hampton, and they lost earlier this year to Hampshire girls as well, and that ended up bringing them to 3 losses on the season. Can't tell you, though, it was a really good pitcher's duel until that big 2-out, 2-run homer that went over left field in the 7th inning in a walk-off win for East Hampton. Imagine that, folks. 0-0, 7-inning game, bottom of the 7th, 2 outs, 2-run homer, wins the game. Tough loss for Greenfield and also Olivia Joy. Can tell you that Greenfield still has a lot of good things they should be proud about, and I'll tell you the one thing that is going to be able to help them in this tournament is they do have Olivia Joy. They just need to start getting more hits. Now, here's an example. They end up losing this game to East Hampton. They only scored literally no runs. So you had no runs there. You end up with only a 3-0 victory earlier this week. So there's 3 runs over 2 games. Then you did have the 10 runs against Ludlow. That helped you out pretty good. So that brings you to 13 runs over 3 games. And then they end up playing a game that they played against against Turners that we're going to talk about, that they ended up playing just recently too, and they came up empty in that one. So really, if it wasn't for the 10 runs against that Ludlow team, Greenfield averaging a run a game, that's not going to win you a lot of games in girls softball unless Olivia Joy pitches a shutout each of one of those games. And you can't put that much pressure on your pitcher. So Greenfield girls, come on, ladies, you have the tools. There's no doubt. You have it. You just got to start getting the hits, start getting it together, start scoring some runs, and let's do it, ladies. We have a lot of confidence in your program. You know, South Hadley ends up picking up a victory over Mohawk. This Mohawk boys baseball team, they've lost a lot of one-run games this year. They lose again 6-5 back on Friday to South Hadley. Westfield Tech, one of the better teams around. Hey, they ended up taking it to the Tech School boys Friday night. Final score was 6-0. Also, the Greenfield boys tennis team picked up another victory. They end up punching their ticket to the Division II tennis tournament with that victory over Sabas, 3-0. Congratulations goes out to them. Well, back on Friday night, they ended up having the Division II championships that they had up in Mohawk. Beautiful opportunity for the girls to be able to showcase how they do. Well, it turned out that there were several top finishers. The Mohawk girls track and field team, they ended up placing 4th overall. They end up having a very successful night up there. Megan Davis wins the 2-mile, and she did it with ease, as she ended up helping her team that placed 7th overall. She says, quote, "I took it the way I wanted it. I wanted to get out there, I wanted to be focused, and I wanted to really pick up the speed." She did so good that she also qualifies for the Central West tournament as well. She literally was 25 seconds ahead of the next finisher. So that means if you and I sat here and count to 25, that's how much of a distance she had between her and the second place runner. She also got a special award for excellence in athletics, sportsmanship, and academics. She truly is a great kid. It's also the service that you do to your school and to your community. Congratulations to Megan Davis of Mohawk, the senior, doing nice things. And I can't wait to see what she has in her future. She is truly an amazing kid. We had her here on the show last year for an interview. She was awesome. If you go back into the archives of the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, you can check out that interview with Megan and I. You know, I look back and I say, you know, there were some really good things that happened in that girls' Division II track and field meet. And that girl that's only a sophomore from Greenfield, Victoria Moran, she ended up placing 7th in the 100-meter hurdles. She was 4th in the long jump. She also was part of 6th place in the high jump as well. She's just truly a young talent who's got a lot of good things coming her way. Delaney Parker, she ended up 4th place in the 200-meter dash. Parker also got her personal record in the triple jump as well, where she finished 3rd. Ackerman of Frontier took 6th place in the 400-meter. And I just want to say congratulations goes out to the winners in that tournament. You know, the Turners Falls Thunder girls, they had their big matchup against the Greenfield girls. It was matchup number 2, where first matchup was all Turners with a 14-1 victory. That's the day that Jade Tyler, going into the bottom of the 7th inning, she ended up having a no-hit shutout going. But freshman Kelsey Richardson from Greenfield got a base hit. Then Reagan Hickey ends up with a double, and she ends up knocking in Kelsey Richardson to be able to break the shutout, and the no-hitter was broken up with those 2 hits as well. But the Thunder still won that battle 14-1. Well, back on Monday night, they had a chance to meet each other. As we're doing our show here today on a Tuesday, this was done last night. Allie Murphy comes up with a two-run homer in the 5th inning when it was 0-0, and all of a sudden, the Thunder pick up the 2-0 lead. They go into the 6th inning, and Greenfield makes 2 errors, and an unearned run ends up plating for Turners. They now have a 3-0 lead. Then in the 7th inning, Greenfield with their final at-bats, Reagan Hickey hits a beautiful double to lead off the top of the 7th. So now you got a runner on second. Now you have a chance to be able to cut into this lead. But of course, you got to get 3 or the game is over because they only play 7 innings. Well, unfortunately, Greenfield could not score any runs. They left Reagan Hickey at second base, and the Green Wave, they get beat in Turners Falls 3-0. They lose both games to Turners this season. They're in different divisions for the upcoming tournament. Turners, believe it or not, folks, they're only a Division IV program because of the number of students in their school. Greenfield is Division III. So in the upcoming Division III tournament, you're going to see Greenfield and Frontier. Those 2 girls will be in Division III. Turners will be Division IV. Someone said, how can that be fair that Turners is doing so many dominating things and being a Division IV team? Let's talk about it. If you decide that you want to play for Gary Mullins and you want to be a part of the Turners Falls softball team, here's what you have to do. You have to make a full commitment. There's a big sheet of paper that has guidelines on it of what's expected for you if you want to play. And if you make the team, of course, you're not guaranteed that you're going to play. You have to practice on Sundays. You have to make the commitment to be able to be available for this team. But they have at least 5 coaches on that team. No other team around here has at least 5 coaches on their team. Hall of Fame coach Gary Mullins. Let me say that again. Hall of Fame coach Gary Mullins. 700 softball wins as their head coach. They only play 18 to 20 games a year in the regular season unless you go to postseason play. It's an incredible track record, folks. Incredible. If you ever gone to a game and you watch them do infield, it's incredible. It's an incredible thing to watch. If you haven't seen this team play, you got to get out and check them out. This is supposed to be a down year for this program. Down what? They're hitting, they're fielding, they got a great pitcher. She's still got 2 more years in the circle here, folks. She's only a sophomore. She's still got 2 more years in Jade Tyler. This program is unbelievable. And that's my point. I brought up a word that you guys just heard, program. This Turners Falls team is a program. They're not a team. Yes, they're a team, but it's a program. You go, you learn, you perform, you succeed. You get a chance to taste winning. Who doesn't want to win in high school? Everybody wants to win. I want to win when I do things. Matter of fact, I'm going to take Johnny Meisner out, and we're going to go play a game of checkers after, and I'm going to win, all right? Because I'm going to tell you something. Winning is fun, but it's also fun when you get educated as well. And this is what Turners Falls softball does. They educate you. So you learn how to become a better player, a better teammate, and a better person in the community. And that's why Gary Mullins is one special coach. And these girls right now are buying in. By the way, they're undefeated this year, folks. They still got 2 huge games they need to play. They're a Division IV program. They're playing 2 Division I teams this week. They're playing Minnechaug out of Springfield, and they're playing Wachusett High School, one of the top softball teams in the whole state of Massachusetts. They're playing them this Thursday night. Oh, I'll be there. I can't wait to go to that game. And I'll be right there behind the plate watching that one. This team is very special. And if you don't have a chance to get over and see them, you're missing out on something fun, because they are a fun team. Get there early. Check out the beginning of the game when they do the warm-ups and watch how they get things done. It's pretty special. This Turners Falls team is awesome. I'm not taking anything away from Greenfield or Frontier on the years they're having, because they're both doing very well. It's just that when everybody said that this is going to be a down year for Turners Falls softball, I just want to know where the down is. There is no down. It's been all ups. And this has been a great year for their team. By the way, Allie Murphy, she ends up with that 2-run homer to win the game against Greenfield, but guess what? It was also her 100th career hit for Turners. Congratulations, Allie. Want to make sure that we get that in there as well. Another milestone here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. So there you have it, folks. We ran down our tournament teams. We had a chance to run down the information about the Division II track and field situation, on how well the kids have done. The Central Western Mass Tournament will be coming up too for track and field. We'll be able to get you into the details on that. What about the teams that have already punched their ticket for tennis? Turner's boys, Greenfield boys, the Frontier girls and the Greenfield girls are all punched in. Congratulations to them. And of course, we ran down what teams are in for baseball and softball. The Greenfield boys team is on a roll right now. They've won 4 straight games, including a victory over Belchertown that they just won as well. They won 3-2. Owen Phelps pitched an excellent game for them. So they are on a roll right now going into the tournament. Good hitting done. Matter of fact, a big hit from Hunter Campbell to help them secure that 3-2 win. And a nice job done by those kids over at Greenfield High School. So as we wind things down for another week and say goodbye, I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. We really enjoy this. And I also want to say that I'm very lucky, because I got 2 guys who have made a commitment to this particular program with me, in John Meisner and Philippe Simone. And I just want to say that they have been a big part of this program. Even though I am the face, they are the guys who have been able to help get this done. And I just want to say I really appreciate what both of them have been able to do, and to make a commitment to being here each and every week. You know, we're getting ready to come into our summer, and I was just thinking some of the things that we might be able to do. And I think one of the shows I want to do is I'm going to set it up so that we can be able to bring those 2 guys out. And we're going to talk some sports. We're going to talk about what it's like to be involved in having a chance for maybe some of these kids to come and do what those guys do. Be behind a camera. Make a commitment to want to be able to learn something to do with television on the community end. And I thought that that would be like perfect after we get done with our tournament situation and things are all wound down for the spring season, to bring those 2 gentlemen here and we have a nice little roundtable discussion about what they do and how they got started and what got them excited to be able to do what they do each and every week. So until we meet again next Tuesday, I'm Bobby C. Want to thank the FCAT, Chris Collins, down in South Deerfield, also to Dean and Deidre over at Montague Community Television, and of course, Philippe and John, and GCTV for this great opportunity. Make sure you look for the Game of the Week. We have our Game of the Week opportunity for you to check out those games as well. And until we meet again next week, I want you to get out and support your local teams. For the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Sean Hubert in Hubie's, their Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue Way in Turners Falls, and Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, we say thank you for tuning in to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Have a wonderful week, everyone.
Thanks for watching the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report on GCTV. Catch a game and be sure to join us next time for more sports and fun.